Hello, everyone. Welcome to TD Board Gamers. My name is Dave,
And I'm Dirk.
and today we're going to go over the Ghost Spider Hero Review. This begins our Sinister Motive wave. So Sinister Motives was kind of an interesting campaign box because it was kind of nestled in between both trilogies. So we had the Infinity Stone trilogy with the first three boxes, and then the Mutant trilogy was the next three boxes before Agents of Shield. Um, so it introduced a new trait, Web Warriors, which is all like about Spider-Man and across the Spider-Verse, which was great.
And they have spread the Spider-Verse out across the different waves because we're still getting one as
Yes,
Web Warrior as recently as the last one of the last two heroes released. So we're
right.
still seeing new
Yeah,
stuff
well,
for
the
this.
back to the Web
Yeah.
Warriors. Um, and there was the other trait that was emphasized, which wasn't introduced because we had Ms. Marvel, but that was Champion. So they expanded the Champions
Yep.
trait. Um, let's go over Ghost Spider's powers. So first, let's look at her alter ego.
So her alter ego is Gwen Stacy. She has 3 recovery. She is a civilian, and as an action, you can choose to shuffle Ticket to the Multiverse from your discard pile into your deck and ready Gwen's or George Stacy. So he's one of your supports. You can do this limit once per round.
Yeah. So Gwen Stacy is like a teenage version of Peter Parker's girlfriend, who died in our universe or the 616 universe, anyways. And yeah, so then Peter Parker saw a teenage version of his ex girlfriend, she's like, "Ew, you're old." But anyways, so yes, that's Gwen Stacy. Ghost Spider she's a 1, 2, 3 web warrior. She's got dizzying reflexes response. After resolve an interrupt or response ability on an event, ready Ghost Spider, limit once per phase. And she's got a hand size 5 and 10 hit points.
Okay.
Right. So first we're going to look over her kit cards.
So the first thing we've got here is we've got 3 copies of an event. It's a 2-cost event called Ghost Kick. It's an attack. As a hero response, after Ghost Spider uses a basic power, you can deal 6 damage to an enemy, max 1 per basic power use. So yeah, you would need to be able to ready to use more than one of these. But yeah, it's cool. But the cool thing is it's basic power use, so it works with the when she recovers. But well, if she has a way to recover in hero form, it's a hero. So nope, doesn't
No,
work
but
with
the
the
nice
kit.
thing, no, the really good thing with Ghost Spider is during the villain
Yeah,
phase, if you defend,
yeah,
then you get to not only get to trigger one of those, but then you can ready her with her dizzying
yeah. That's what I was thinking. Yeah, but she's
because this is once per phase, so you can
yes.
do it during the villain phase too. So you can actually do damage on the villain phase, which is nice. All right, the next card is Parental Guidance. It's a 0 cost event. Alter Ego action. If George Stacy is in play, attach one event from your hand or discard pile face down to George Stacy. You'll see George's power here in a little bit. If George Stacy is not in play, search your deck and discard pile for him and add him to your hand.
Yeah, and of course when you add them to your hand, then you know if you can still play them if you've got the resources for it. So of course, Phantom Flip, it's a 2-cost event. It's a thwart event. You have 3 copies of this. But after Ghost Spider uses a basic power, you remove 5 threat from a scheme. Max once per basic power again. So they do limit these events of hers to once per power. But yeah, you can if you can use her ability ready and you can do it again.
But the nice thing, again, you can do it during the villain phase.
Yes.
So you could thwart during the villain phase. All right. Then we have 2 copies of Purity and Punch. Um, and it's a skill, hero interrupt. When a card is revealed from the encounter deck, deal damage to the villain equal to one more than the number of boost icons on that card. Cancel that card's when revealed effect. So it's sort of like, yeah, I'm not going to deal with this treachery. And here, take some damage for my trouble.
Yeah, I like that, and it doesn't replace it. So,
Yeah.
right. Oh, we've blurred. Next, we've got 2 copies of Web Binding. It's a 2-cost event. It's a superpower. It does require mental to play this one, but as a hero interrupt, when an enemy would activate, cancel that activation. And if a minion's activation was canceled this way, you deal 4 damage to it. So this will actually knock out quite a few of the minions in the game when they try to activate against you. And since it's an interrupt, it knocks them out before they get their attack. So that's pretty cool. Otherwise, you can also still use it on the villain as well.
All right, we've had a couple of references to George. So this is her father, of course. One cost support, persona. Events attached to George Stacy may be played as if they were in your hand. And as an action, you can exhaust George Stacy, attach one event from your hand face down here to a maximum of 3.
And I love the fact that this is an action. It's not a hero or alter ego action.
Right. So you could do this in both. And then there was the other card that allowed you to add extras or
Yeah, the parental
fight.
guidance
Yeah,
was the one that
fight.
allowed you to add extra or to find him.
Right. And then I think the and then you have to exhaust George Stacy. So her alter ego ability, you could ready George Stacy, so
Yeah.
you could actually put 2 cards on a turn when you're an alter
Yep.
ego. All right, this is the other amazing card with her kit,
So this is the one that it's referenced on her. Is it her?
basic.
Is her alter ego action that you can search for, but it Ticket to the Multiverse. It's a 3-cost upgrade. As an action, you can remove it from the game to discard your hand and shuffle your discard pile into your deck. Drop your hand size and ready each Ghost Spider card you control. So unfortunately, it is once per game, but it is a phenomenal ability to have at your disposal.
You almost
So-
get a second turn.
And the other great thing though is if you decide not to use that, because I've done it both ways. If you decide not to use it, it's a double wild
Yeah,
resource. So I mean, it's a phenomenal resource as well in case you don't use it for the
right.
upgrade ability.
And then in alter ego, again, you could shuffle it from your discard pile back into your deck,
Yeah.
so you could use it more than once, which is awesome. All right, and then the last kit cards we have for her, she's got 2 copies of Web Bracelet. Hero response: after resolve an interrupt or response ability on an event, exhaust Web Bracelet, draw a card. So this is great for, you're gonna see some interrupts and responses here when we get to the aspect cards.
That's in addition to the
In
ones that
addition to
she's
the ones
already
that
got.
she has in her hero kit, yeah. And so not only do you get the ready, but then you could draw a card.
But then since you have 2 of these, of course, max 1 per event, but you have 2 of these, so you can do it multiple times
Right.
with them. So that's great. So looking at her obligation here, her obligation is worried father. I mean, he's a proud papa and he's going to be worried about his daughter. So you give this to the Gwen Stacy player. She searches her deck, hand, and discard pile and play area for George Stacy and set him aside and attach this obligation to him. So as an alter ego action, you can exhaust her and remove this obligation from the game, and you get to add him back to your hand. So he does come back to your hand instead of your discard pile. So that is nice, but you have to go down and exhaust, which prevents you from being able to use her unexhaust abilities.
Right.
So
But then it's removed from the game, which is
Yes.
great.
it was before we started on the X-Men waves.
So she comes from another dimension. So we've got or another universe. So the lizard, which is actually Peter Parker in her universe. 1 scheme, 3 attack, 5 hit points, brute creature. When the villain phase begins, heal 1 damage from the lizard. So
So he swings big, and he's got a big bottom. So you gotta try to get him out quick. Then you've got the side scheme for her nemesis. It is regenerative research, and it is a forced interrupt. When the villain phase begins, heal 1 damage from each enemy. So then you've got the lizard who heals at the beginning, and if this is out at the same time, he's healing 2. So you definitely want to try to knock these out.
so Peter Parker is the Doc Connors in her universe. I
Yeah.
guess. All right. Then we have experimental injection. Attach to the minion with the most remaining hit points. If you cannot, this card gains surge. Attached minion gains the creature trait and gets 4 hit points.
Yeah, so that one card earlier to where you deal the damage to the minion of the 4, basically this injection will just kind of counteract that. Then you've got 2 copies of In Cold Blood. It is the treachery card from this. When revealed, the lizard attacks you. You cannot play events until after that attack resolves. So you can't do any of the responses or anything, or not the response, the interrupts in the middle. And if no attack was made this way, the card gains surge. So yeah, by taking away that interrupt, that takes away half of your ability right there. So
All right. And then she's got a team up card, Young Love.
if you notice, we did not have a signature ally in her deck.
Right. Yeah, so it's a 1 cost event. Team up Gwen Stacy and Miles Morales. So yeah, you're gonna have to get the Miles Morales ally
Or another player.
or someone's playing Spider-Man Miles Morales. And this is an alter ego action. Heal 3 damage each from Gwen Stacy and Miles Morales. So if you're doing multiplayer, both players have to be an alter ego
Yes.
to trigger it. right, so we're just going to slide that over. Don't remove it. Um, all right, so we got a couple choices for Miles.
So this is the Spider-Man Miles Morales, the basic ally. He's a 3-cost ally. He thwarts for 1, attacks for 2. Now he is a champion. So this is interesting in the fact it's a team up from a different team. But he's got 3 hit points, and as a response, after you play Spider-Man from your hand, you choose thwart or attack, and he gets +2 to the chosen power until the end of the phase. So this is the one that we had at the time that she came out. However,
We also have this one you can use team building for.
yeah, and this came out more recently.
Don't remember. So yeah, this is a protection Spider-Man Miles, 4-cost ally, 1 thwart, 2 attack, 3 hit points, web warrior. After you play Spider-Man from your hand, stun and confuse an enemy if you control at least 3 web warriors. So they both came out in this wave. I just don't remember what order they came out
Yeah.
in.
Oh no, the basic one came out prior to this. That's right. That's what it was.
Yeah, that's why.
I remember it came out before this.
Yeah, that's why he's not a web warrior.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, we've got a few kind of keywords that we want to play with. So first of all, she's a web warrior. So we're going to go over the web warrior allies. We'll talk about the ones that are specifically useful for her. I believe actually the protection one.
The protection is a web warrior.
Up.
So
and yeah, you can stun and confuse an enemy if you have an army of web warriors. But
yeah, so whenever we go through the web warrior allies, definitely this one still applies because he is a web warrior.
Right. All right. So the first one, this is a new one that we got.
So we've got Spider Woman, who's she's shield and web warrior, so she works there. We'll just go through most of them quickly.
Yeah, you can pause. You can pause if you want to read the cards.
But we got a couple of them.
There's nothing specifically with Ghost Spider except for team building. Same thing. We got another Spider Woman, Jessica Drew. So this is a Justice where you can cheaper for confused enemies.
We've got Lady Spider here, who she can actually, now she's great actually because if you're playing a web warrior themed, she can remove an equal amount of threat from a different scheme if you control another web warrior. Of course, you're a web warrior. No, this wasn't the one I think. No, that one's coming up later. In a minute.
All right. So then we got Spider-Man Pavillon.
Oh, this is the one I was thinking.
Is this good for her?
Yeah. Well, this one is good for a web warrior theme because this one is.
These are good for web.
Yeah, but when he comes in, he removes a threat for each web warrior you control. So the more web warriors, the better he is.
All right. This is another one that came in the recent Silk, Spider-Man 2099. Again, you can. This is good for when, especially like the last hit point is on another web warrior. You can put it back in your hand.
Yeah. Now he is currently the only web warrior we have in leadership.
Right, and the Spider Woman was the only aggression one.
Yes. Okay, then we've got Scarlet Spider here, who his great deal is he can take the damage for another web warrior instead, so he can kind of jump in front of that one.
Which is, I mean, that's good for Ghost Spider too. So we got Silk. Silk's a good treachery canceller. So, oh no, searches for a treachery and gets rid of it.
Yeah, she can search for one when she comes in.
Yeah, so she can get rid of a treachery. So it's kind of similar to the hero power, but in a way.
Yeah, she you kind of have to have another web warrior to use that. Then you got Spider Bite. This is another new one. And she helps you search for tech. It helps you play it cheaper.
All right, so Madam Web. That one doesn't really.
Yeah, she can look at cards.
Discard cards.
Yeah, discard cards.
Then we got Scarlet Spider.
That's another Scarlet Spider. Yeah, we had one in protection. So we've got one in basic as well. So now what you got to be careful for, like the one, I guess coming back to these two, if you cannot play, these are both Spider-Man Miles. So even though one's a web warrior, one's a champion, if you're playing protection, you cannot play both of them at the same time. You got to watch the same thing like with the Scarlet Spider. Is that the same?
No, they're different heroes.
They are different heroes. Yeah, these, since the name of the hero is different, these two can be played together. So you do have to watch for things like that. Okay.
All right, next is SPDR. So again, not specific for anybody, just any web warrior.
Okay, of course, Spider-Ham, he's always fun, and he's got his little discard to deal damage with based off, or he takes, wait, so for each boost icon discard, he takes extra damage based on boosts.
All right. Then we got Spider-Man Hobby. Nothing specific for Ghost Spider. Now this one can be useful for Ghost Spider.
Yeah, this one, the Otto Octavius Spider-Man, and the great thing about him is you do have to have a web warrior to play him, but then after you play him, you can upgrade, you can ready an upgrade you can control, and if it has tech, you can draw an additional card.
And I believe
so these are, yeah, her
bracelets are
her
tech.
bracelets are tech.
Yeah.
So they can actually draw a card, and then you can use them again.
Yeah, so you can ready the web brace, especially if you only have one out,
Yeah.
because you can only utilize them once per phase. All right, we got
Yeah, but
Spider-Man.
then it enables you can use it during the villain phase, and it still be ready for you during the hero phase.
Yeah, then we got Spider-Man Peter.
So the Spider-Man Pyro is a great one, but yeah, because he can he readies another web warrior.
Okay.
You got the Spider-Man Noir here, who he can attach a treachery to this after it resolves.
So he's just good for any web warrior.
Yeah.
And then Spider UK, the more web warriors you have out, the better. So,
yep.
All right. Then a couple spidery themed cards.
And these work. A lot of this, like all this stuff, works with any, pretty much any web warrior. They don't. These aren't specific to Gwen.
Right. So we got Across the Spider-Verse, 2-cost event, max 1 per deck. Exhaust a web warrior card you control. Search your deck for a web warrior ally and put it into play. Then choose a player. That player may spend 3 resources of any type to repeat this effect.
And that is great for this one because of his requirement. So that actually supersedes this. So you are no longer required because you're putting him into play and not playing him.
But you do have to exhaust a web warrior.
Yes.
All right.
Then you've got, of course, team building exercise, because if you're going with a web warrior themed thing, then it'll help you reduce the cost of the web warriors you're playing.
All right. And then this is another great card. Support, 3-cost support, Web of Life and Destiny, location web warrior. So it does count as a web warrior card. So you can actually exhaust this when you have to exhaust a web warrior card. Ignore the card's resource cost if your identity has a web warrior. You do. Response after web warrior ally leaves play, choose a player. That player draws a card. And then the last of the spidery.
And this one, the Warrior of the Great Web. So it's a 1-cost upgrade. You can attach it to a character with Spider in the title, and that character gains the Web Warrior trait. Now, she's already got the Web Warrior trait, but after a Web Warrior ally leaves play, you can attach the attached character gets +1 attack until the end of the phase. So even though she's got it, it doesn't give her any additional hit points or anything, but it gives her the +1 attack until the end of the phase.
No, she can't. She doesn't have
Spider in her title, does she?
No, she's Ghost
Spider.
Oh,
she
Ghost
does.
Spider.
She has Spider in her title.
Oh, she does. Oh,
that's why it's a great card for her.
But it's also great.
You can attach it to an ally.
Yeah, it's also good for like the Justice Peter Parker, which we didn't pull because he's not a web warrior. The 1 Miles that just said champion, you could put it on him.
You could do that.
So yeah.
But I actually personally, I think I would probably put this one on Gwen.
Right. Or if you're teaming up with, say, the Peter Parker or Spider Woman, hero, you could make them web warriors too.
Yes.
But more likely you'd want them to put them in their own deck. All right. So the 2 keywords that we're playing with is response and interrupt events. So we're going
to go over responses first. And we're probably just going to skim through a lot of these, but we could, just because there's so many of them. But we've got in aggression, we've got you'll pay for that.
You got chase them down, which you can remove some threat after you defeat an enemy. Oh,
oops, we blurred again.
There we go.
Critical hit is another one. So that one, then you can stun as well as it's a response that stuns.
You got moment of triumph after you attack and defeat an enemy, heal the damage.
You've got surprise attack that this one lets you deal damage whenever you change forms.
This is the thwarting version of that. You can remove threat when you change forms.
You've got turn the tide here, which this one allows you to remove threat and removes threat. After you remove threat, you deal damage. Yeah, that's it.
All right. Then we got upside the head, which after you make a basic attack, you can confuse the enemy.
Waylay, of course, he after you thwart, you can deal damage.
Okay. And then for leadership, after you exhaust your hero to make a basic thwart or attack, discard an ally you control, add the matching power. So that's nice.
Of course, Moxie is one that after you change forms, you can add to your attack, thwart, or defense.
Stop hitting yourself. So this one is important because she's on the art. After you defeat it against the enemy, attack and take no damage. Deal damage to the enemy equal to your defense for that attack. And she starts with a base attack of 3 or
The base
defense of
defense
3.
3, and then of course, if you're playing protection, you've probably got ways to increase that.
Yeah, like put an armor vest on her or something.
Yep. Then you've got the counter punch here. So then this one is you can deal damage after you defend.
All right, and this is another change former card, which gives your hero a tough. And the last response
is the True Grit. So this one, after you defend, you can scheme. After your hero defends, then you remove threat equal to your scheme.
Your thwart.
Your thwart. Yes, that's what I meant. That is what I meant.
All right, then interrupts. We got more interrupts and responses, but here we have mean swing. So you would actually have to have a weapon, but you can exhaust a weapon to get +3 damage.
Yep. Then you've got the skilled strike here. So this one, of course, adds to your basic attack.
Surprise move. So this, when you make a basic attack, you get +2, but they have to have an attachment. So you'd have to kind of build around that card a little bit.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you'd have to have an upgrade that you can put on minions or villain, which we have plenty.
You've got the best defense here, which of course is this one actually increases or uses your attack instead of your defense when you defend.
Yeah, so that one, it would be a little hard to pull off. I give, because your defense is actually higher than your attack. But if you have ways to keep pumping up your attack, like martial or not, combat training makes your attack equal to your defense. So
yeah, you do have ways. That one is a little bit harder to pull off. That is correct.
And justice.
So you've got foiled here. Of course, this one is whenever you turn up a booster in a scheme, you can cancel them.
This is a card I hardly ever play, but when any amount of threat would be placed on a scheme, you could take it as damage instead.
The making an entrance, of course, this is one after you use a basic thwart, you get +2, or yeah, you get +2 to your thwart, and if it removes scheme, then you can heal damage. So that's nice.
Now this one's this one is you gotta have side schemes in the victory display, but when a treachery card is revealed, you can cancel it, which is nice.
Last Stand. Now this is one that I've used a lot with like some of my recursion decks, but it's whenever an ally you control attacks, you get +3 for the attack, and then after it resolves, you discard the ally. But then you can, of course, you're getting rid of your ally, but then you're using your ability. So,
all right, then we got teamwork. So this is when you use a basic power, you can exhaust an ally you control to add. So she's going to be using her basic powers a lot, so she can trigger her ability.
Then we've got some here in pool, so there's barely a scratch. This one is when you would take any amount of damage, you can prevent one from each of the bad symbols that are in play.
We got get in front of me, so when a treachery card is revealed, cancels when revealed, the villain attacks you instead. So we got lots of treachery canceling.
And then the last of the pool ones we've got here is the Not My Responsibility. And this one is just an interrupt, so it can be done in hero or alter ego, but then whenever any amount of threat will be placed, you take it as damage instead. Or you can have an ally take it in this case.
Right, and then protection, we've got a lot of cards.
There are a lot, because she works really well with perfect defense style decks where you're using the interrupts. So
this one is when you would take any amount of damage, you can exhaust an aerial character you control to prevent up to 3 of that damage.
So this one would require you to have an aerial character, but there are quite a few spider allies as well as non-spider web warrior allies that have aerial.
Yeah, you don't want aerial allies.
Yep. We've got Defiance here. So this is whenever an enemy attacks you, attacking you would be turned face up. You discard it instead. Or no, when a boost card on an enemy. So this one's really good against the villain, but it can work against the minions that have
villainous.
Villainous, that's it.
But the nice thing is that works against the star ability as well.
Yes.
Because you just cancel the card outright.
Yep.
Not just the boost icons. So you got an annoying discard a random card from your hand. Dirk's definitely playing that card.
Yeah. Well, if you do it right. But...
Right.
So deflection here. So this one is when an entity would take any amount of damage, you can prevent it and then discard 5 cards from the top of your deck for each one.
And that can
So
be another player in multiplayer too,
yes,
which then you could trigger your web bracelets and ready yourself if you needed to.
yep.
All right.
So desperate defense here, of course, this is one that adds to your defense, and then if you take no damage, you get to ready yourself.
Yeah, that's a staple in perfect defense. Expert defense is another good card. When your hero defends against an attack, it gets +3.
The first hit one is if whenever you attack, you can deal 2 damage to an enemy as a hero action, or as an interrupt. Whenever a minion initiates an attack, you can deal 2 damage to the minion. So this one's actually cool because you can actually play it in either phase, and you could actually play the attack during the villain phase as well if you've used your ability.
Yeah. All right. Get behind me. So this is a treachery canceller, and the villain attacks you. So this is the non-upgraded version of the pool card we saw. This one you have to.
Yeah, because she's in the artwork, but the jump flip here. So this one is if when you take any amount of damage, you prevent 2 of it, and then if you paid using energy, then you can remove 2 threat from the main scheme.
Leading blow. When your hero makes a basic attack, you can discard the top card of the encounter deck. Reduce your hero's attack by that number of printed boost icons. And if the attack still deals damage, you get to ready your hero.
Yeah, so that's one that actually works really well if you don't quite think you're going to get through it. But never back down. This one you get +2 to your defense, and if you don't take damage, then you can stun the attacking enemy.
Not today. So when you defend, you get +2, and if you take no damage, you remove 2 threat. So another way to thwart when you're in the villain phase.
Yep. This one, if you when an enemy attacks, you deal 4 damage to the enemy as well. So whenever they initiate the attack, so you can do it, and that one can get rid of a minion before they get a chance to attack you.
Preemptive strike. When a boost card is turned up, you can cancel all boost icons, so just the triangles in this case, and then deal 1 damage for each boost icon.
Riposte here. This one is when you defend, you get +2 to defense. If you don't take damage, you deal 3 damage to the attacking enemy.
Now this one requires a little bit of work at it.
But it is also an alliance card, so you can actually get help from your other heroes as well.
Right. So I'm playing a 3-player game with Dirk and James, and they're playing X-Force and X-Men. So I play this card and let them pay the cost of exhausting their heroes so that I can prevent the damage and give them tough statuses.
Yep.
Make them pay for it, though.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because they could pay for the cost, or you could pay for the cost. Everybody teams helps up with that one. It works either way.
You guys pay the cost.
So the sidestep here, this one is great because you prevent 3 damage, and if you paid for it using energy, then you can deal a damage to the enemy.
All right, and this is another alliance card that Dirk and James have to pay for. So 4 costs stand together. It's a tactic. When a friendly character would take any amount of damage from an attack, exhaust an Avenger and a Guardian character to prevent all of that damage, and then deal that damage to the attacking enemy. So it's like, save me, save me.
Save me, but you're paying for it. Nah, I don't think so.
Okay,
Subdue's
lose the game because I'll be dead.
Yeah. Subdue's a 1-cost event, but this one is when an enemy initiates an attack, it subtracts 3 from their attack.
All right. This one's a little interesting. Directed forced. When your hero makes an attack that has a keyword overkill, piercing, or range, the attack deals 2 additional damage. Now you don't have those normally, but you know you can.
There are ways to get them.
You can like a hand cannon or something
Yep.
from aggression. This is Dirk's favorite card.
Yeah, have not played this one in a while, but it is actually useful with her. So the emergency one is just it reduces the amount of threat placed on a scheme whenever the villain schemes. It's a pretty simple one. It does cost 0, so that's really nice actually with her.
And then we got warning. When a hero would take any amount of damage, reduce that amount by 1.
Yeah.
So the nice thing with the warning is like you got this perfect defense and you just quite didn't make it. You know, they got like 1 extra boost. You play that, you know, then maybe your take no damage triggers and you get to ready. So
Yep.
and draw a card if you got your weapon.
Or 2 cards, potentially.
Yeah. So all for, you know, a nice 0-cost basic card.
Yep.
All right. Well, anyways, I haven't played Ghost Spider in a while, but I really like her.
Yeah, she was on whenever she first came out and I first tried to play her, I kind of struggled with her a little bit, But I mean, once I kind of got in the swing of how she worked, she was much easier. So yeah, she had a little bit of a learning curve to her, I
Right.
thought.
And that emergency card, I think the last time we played it was when we did our learn to play, and we removed it when we did the deck building version, I think.
Actually, that emergency, we might have, I think I might have actually used that with her.
I've had it in your
Yeah,
deck before, but it's been a long time. That was before we did our learn to plays.
yeah,
Anyways,
that's true. That's true.
well, anyways, that was Ghost Spider Hero Review. So we are now starting our Sinister Motive Wave. So that's awesome. Thank you for watching, everyone. Please like and subscribe.
And if you want to see new content by us, go ahead and hit that notification bell down there, and you'll get alerts whenever we post new videos.